You likely got in a car this morning, pressed a pedal, and moved 40 miles an hour without firing a single muscle. 100,000 years ago, that same trip meant 2 full days of walking barefoot through territory that could kill you. For almost all of human history, getting anywhere meant risking everything. There were no roads and no signs telling you what was ahead. For 300,000 years, the top speed a human being could travel was limited to about 4 miles an hour. We conquered the globe by systematically breaking through 3 physical bottlenecks: the limits of our endurance, the barriers of the terrain, and the weight we carried. The frictionless, globalized world we navigate today is the result of ancient humans refusing to accept the geographic boundaries they were born with. Consider our biology. Humans are much slower than our prey and our predators. A cheetah hits 70 miles per hour. A horse can sustain 30. We top out at maybe 15, and only for a few seconds before we're gasping. So how did we cross entire continents? Our bodies evolved to prioritize infinite endurance over short bursts of speed. We can walk 20 miles in a day, sleep, and do it again tomorrow, for weeks. No other animal on Earth can pull that off. This diagram shows the biomechanics of a human step. The arch of the foot and the Achilles tendon act as springs, storing and releasing energy every time your foot strikes the ground, so your muscles don't carry the full load. At the same time, 2 million sweat glands cool you down, allowing you to keep moving while every other large mammal on the savanna overheats and has to stop. You are built to never stop. These footprint casts were pressed into volcanic ash in Laetoli, Tanzania, 3.6 million years ago. They prove that 2 individuals were walking side by side on 2 feet long before we ever invented a tool. That endurance carried us over 15,000 miles. Generation by generation, small groups walked out of Africa, crossed Asia, entered Siberia, and pushed south through the Americas. This was deliberate networking. Archaeologists have found amber traded across mountain ranges, and obsidian tools carried hundreds of miles from the nearest volcano. They covered massive distances because they knew exactly what they were looking for. Walking works until you hit a physical barrier. A desert or a mountain pass can be crossed, but a deep river instantly neutralizes the advantage of a long-distance walker. For most of our history, deep water was a wall. Evidence shows we solved this much earlier than once thought. In 2003, archaeologists on the island of Flores found stone tools dating back roughly 800,000 years. Flores has never been connected to the mainland. Even during the lowest sea levels of the ice ages, at least 12 miles of open ocean blocked the way. The presence of those tools proves that hominids were successfully navigating across water hundreds of thousands of years ago. By 65,000 years ago, humans were crossing from Southeast Asia to Australia. That meant paddling across 60 miles of featureless ocean, aiming for a landmass they couldn't even see from the shore. The Polynesians eventually mastered the Pacific by reading the stars, the direction of ocean swells, and the color of clouds near land. They reached nearly every habitable island in the largest body of water on Earth without a single instrument. The invention of the boat turned water into a traversable surface, providing access to islands and continents that were previously isolated from human reach. Even with endurance and boats, we were limited by what we could carry. The human frame breaks down when moving more than 60 pounds over long distances. You cannot walk 20 miles carrying a 200-pound animal on your back. The first attempts to bypass this involved dragging. Hunters would throw a heavy kill onto a hide and pull it, a technique confirmed by wear marks found on ancient leather. The travois used a V-shaped frame to redirect weight. By placing the load between 2 poles, the bulk of the pressure was sent into the ground rather than resting entirely on the human puller. We eventually outsourced this labor to animals, starting with dogs pulling sleds in the Arctic and later the horse. Domestication changed the scale of human movement. After 300,000 years of walking, the horse allowed a human to cover in days what used to take weeks, multiplying our top speed nearly 8-fold. We replicated this strategy globally, using camels to cross the Sahara, llamas in the Andes, and reindeer in the Arctic snow. Bypassing our biological weight limit allowed for mass trade and the logistical foundations required to support large, complex civilizations. Humans had already populated continents and crossed oceans thousands of years before anyone ever invented the wheel. The first wheels were actually stationary tools for shaping pottery. When they were finally adapted for carts, about 5,000 years ago, they were solid, heavy discs that frequently cracked or got stuck in the mud. The spoked wheel solved this by hollowing out the disc. It was light enough to move at the speed of a horse, but strong enough to carry heavy cargo. The combination of the wheel, the road, and animal power created the first true transportation systems. These networks established the logistical template that our modern highways and shipping lines eventually inherited and automated. Today, we navigate a frictionless environment. We are so detached from the physical struggle of movement that a minor transit delay feels like a burden. Every highway and flight path is the inheritance of an ancient impulse to look at the horizon and keep moving, regardless of the limits.